Morning, Mr. President, members of Council. I'm joined by Mr. Robertson this morning. We have three items on the agenda. The first is the discussion and potential introduction of an ordinance related to a master plan zone. And Council may remember this from the presentation that Mr. Robertson and I gave at the December 13th of last year County Council meeting. We don't propose to repeat that presentation for you, but I can yield to Mr. Robertson to provide some updates on the progress that we've made since that presentation. So,
You scared me when you said there's three items, and I realized that one of those is the rollout of the digital stuff, which I don't have anything to do with. So for me, it's two. So this one, as Mr. Whitehouse said, is really the official start of the master plan zone ordinance. We've spent quite a bit of time working on that. We've made presentations to you all, so I'm not going to go through what it does. The updates, I would say, in our code right now, we have in Article 17, there's what's called a vacation retirement residential park district that actually is a closed district, so nobody could rezone to that now, and we don't have any of those districts anywhere in the county. So we thought this would be, using the Sam Wilson rule, we'd take out something and put something in. So we deleted that chapter, or that article, not the chapter, that article in its entirety, and plugged this in, and it actually fit pretty well in its place. So it's the same as what we mentioned to you in previous presentations. One thing that I don't know that we specifically went over, because it was a later clarification and sort of a placeholder that we had, was that we did want to further the conversation about affordable housing through this program. And so one of the requirements for an MPZ is that 20% of all multifamily dwellings shall be set aside as SCRP units governed by Chapter 72, so that if you're going to utilize this program, that you do have to provide an affordable housing element within it. Again, there's a lot in here. What we'd like to do is get this ordinance introduced so that we can start the conversation, get good feedback, make any improvements, changes, et cetera, that we need to do. It does need to go through plus, right. So we will do that. And unless there's any questions, what I'd like to do is read the short title and get it introduced.
I have a question.
Sure.
Line 447 says that the plan shall include a master transportation plan approved by DelDOT. Does that give DelDOT the authority to shut this down without their approval?
No, what we were looking for with that is actually to avoid DelDOT shutting it down. Because if we're going to have roadways within the master plan that are going to be state maintained at some point, we don't want to have those built first, and then every time you do a little neighborhood off that street, you got to get another entrance permit. Which that would be death by a thousand cuts. So the idea with that is to make it so that DelDOT signs off on the whole thing all at once. Just like they would do now with an entrance permit or an entrance plan, but they do it for the whole development.
Well, I'm all for DelDOT approving this, but it just seems, I'm not an attorney, but does that not give them the opportunity, if they decide to be unreasonable, to just blow the whole thing up?
it would give them some oversight on safety of the roads, the curves, the angles, where the entrances are.
It says the word shall in there, but just something to think
about. And that may be something that we change. Mr. Schaefer, that's a good point and one that we need to keep in mind, but I'd like to get it introduced today, but keep that in mind. And it may be changing the word shall to may, or changing the reference to approval by DelDOT so that DelDOT doesn't have veto power over this. Yeah, that's a good point. So,
why don't you read the short title?
I will do that. This one is actually fairly short compared to some.
It is, yes, it is.
It's a big program in a short title. Oh, yeah, right. I wasn't going to read it wrong. An ordinance to delete Chapter 115, Article 17, Vacation Retirement Residential Park District, Sections 115-132 through 115-140 in its entirety, and to insert Article 17, Master Plan Zone, Section 115-132 through 115-140 in its place.
Anyone want to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
Mr. Hudson introduced it. Next.
Okay, then, go ahead if you want to.
I'll provide a short summary, and then again Mr. Robertson can explain. So this is a discussion and potential introduction of a proposed ordinance related to solar farm